This is Julian, civil rights attorney. I'm going to react to a video of some police officers in Ohio using a canine dog on an individual who had his hands up. I do these reaction videos so that you kind of get a sense of what it's like to be a civil rights attorney and the type of analysis that we go through in determining whether or not to take a case or advising someone if their constitutional rights have been violated.
That's a dog! Come to me! You don't want bit! On the ground, you're gonna get bit. Come to me, man!
Do not let them, don't release the dog. Do not release the dog with his hands up. Do not release the dog with his hands up. Do not release the dog with his hands up, don't.
So I like the fact that there's an officer who's already there saying, do not release the dog if his hands are up, because this officer clearly can sense that his fellow officers are going to release that dog on him, and he knows that it would be unlawful and unconstitutional. So at least there's one person on this scene who knows that you just can't release dogs on individuals who are not posing a threat to you.
Do not, get the dog off of him! Get the dog off of him!
So what's interesting here is that even though he kept saying, do not release the dog with his hands up, you see an officer who's coming from the left side of the video who's already disregarding and approaching to release the dog.
Put your hand back. Give me your hand. What do you mean? I gave you 3 warnings. Did I not? Did I not say final warning? You're going to get out of the dog.
Two things here. First thing I think is, number one, this is clearly excessive force. A lawsuit can be filed, no doubt about that. But before I talk about that, this reminds me of how during the civil rights movement, police dogs were always used on black people who were nonviolent, who were not attacking the police, weren't doing anything. The police would just sick their dogs on them anyway. And here we are again, 75 years later, still seeing the same thing. This man here had his arms up. He was compliant. He had both hands in the air like that. And the police still sick the dog on him. And I think what's even more egregious is that there was an officer on scene, may have been a supervisor, I'm not sure, who was saying, do not do this. And even when they released the dog and the dog was clearly attacking him, this person still said, take the dog off of him. So this is a clear use of excessive force, because even though the dog was the one that attacked the man, the law says that if police officers use a dog on an individual, then that constitutes force. Here, this would be excessive force because the man was compliant, he had his hands up, didn't do anything wrong. If this case were to be tried in front of a jury, the best witness for the individual who was attacked by the dog would be the fellow officer, to bring him to the witness stand and say, did you think that this person was a threat? Would you have released the dog on him? Did you in fact tell your fellow officer to not release the dog? And this person would have to say, yeah, I didn't think he was a threat. I begged them not to do it, and that I told them to release the dog, and they still didn't do it. This would clearly be a 6-figure, maybe even a 7-figure case. So this individual should definitely go out and hire a civil rights attorney if they haven't already, because this is a clear-cut case of excessive force.